Anyway, to come back to the question of multiculturalism, I would like to link it with the question with the concept of secularism, because I think we have mentioned secularism a number of times today without really reflecting on what the situation is. Of course, the French definition of secularism is total separation between church and religion, church and state. But it's not the case in the rest of Europe. It's not the case in the UK, in Germany, or for that matter in Canada and the USA, where the definition of secularism is equal tolerance by the state vis-à-vis religions. And it's a very different approach. And I think we should really think carefully when we are using the concept of secularism. It is not the prevailing one. The prevailing one within Europe, within the institutions of Europe, is that of equal tolerance by the state to vis-à-vis religions. And that allows, for instance, lenders in Germany to collect religious taxes or this kind of things. Or if you go to court in the USA, you will swear on the Bible and maybe on other holy books. But France defined it in a very interesting way. It declared in 1905, 1906, that the state is incompetent in religious matters and will have nothing to do with religions. Now, if we go back to the concept of tolerance, tolerance of what? Tolerance of difference. Now, in the left in general, but also in the feminist movement, we have been talking a lot about difference without looking carefully at the fact that difference has been used and misused by all sorts of extreme right movements. Apartheid in South Africa is based on difference, or the southern states in the USA. But we are fighting on the ground that the slaves were different. And more recently, when we had FIS and GIA in Algeria and AIS and other groups, other armed groups, in France, Le Pen, who was at the time heading the National Front, and Haider in Austria, heading the Freedom Party, supported the Islamic Salvation Front on the ground that people are entitled to be different. Different implies unequal in their views, and we have to be very careful about tolerance and about difference. We have to really think about what it means to essentialize difference, the way the far right has been doing all the time. I just want to quote an Algerian worker who I heard a few months ago saying that he was absolutely fed up of being under culture arrest, a concept he forged on the model of being under house arrest, which I think is absolutely fantastic because it points at the ahistorical way in which culture and religion are constructed. We also see constantly the homogenization of culture, of difference, therefore. And this morning I heard even people speak about Muslim culture. Now, let me ask you, what do people have in common if they are a young woman in Senegal who can dance in villages up to 3 in the morning, regardless of whether she's married or not, and a secluded woman in Afghanistan? Where is the common culture? Or would you say there's a common culture between Christians in Scandinavian countries and Latin American countries and the Philippines? It's not true. It's a construct by fundamentalists also. We have to be very careful about that. All this does not happen in a vacuum. It happens in a political setup in which we see the rise of the far rights. Let me just remind you that Austria, Hungary, Norway, and the Netherlands have more than 50% voters for the far right, and that Serbia and Switzerland have 30%. voting for the far right. Now, we have this traditional xenophobic far right on the one hand, and on the other hand, we have fundamentalist movements, especially the Muslim fundamentalist movement, but not exclusively, which is usually referred to as a religious movement, where it is a political far-right movement. So we have these two far-right movements feeding into each other in the name of defense of identity, defense of difference, difference of culture and of religion, etc. And they have a lot in common. I think both of them want the recognition of communities which will be rooted in difference. And both of them want a confrontation, a physical confrontation and maybe a bloodbath, which would allow them to rally more militants to their cause. And I think it's important to replace multiculturalism the way it rises at this moment in history in Europe within this political context. Let me briefly tell you about France. I mentioned this morning that France has about 30% of citizens of foreign origin, French citizens of foreign origin. Most of them are from North Africa and Turkey, i.e. from Muslim countries. Nevertheless, 74% of these people declare themselves non-religious, and this lumps together agnostics, atheists, and people who say they never ever practice. Now, as I mentioned this morning, a number of people, even very well-meaning, still refer to all these people as Muslims, which is a shame. The percentage of people who declare themselves non-religious among this population of Muslim descent is equivalent to the proportion of Catholics, of people of Catholic origin in France who declare themselves non-religious. I think it's a 1% difference. It's very, very little. Now, out of the 26% who declare themselves Muslim believers, only 5% participate in electing representatives to the Council for French Islam that Sarkozy set up. Now, you may still believe that France is a very secular country. It is not. It is less and less secular. Now, you can imagine how unrepresentative this Council of French Islam is. Nevertheless, there are lots of social and political problems among the French citizens of migrant descent. For instance, we know that there is 10% unemployment as a whole, but it climbs to 25% for French citizens of Algerian descent, for instance, and it can go up to 50% in certain areas where a lot of sections of the French population are packed together in suburbs of big cities. But these social and political problems cannot be cured by religious means, which is what we are made to believe. Let's speak to the Muslims and have their representatives talk to the government or talk to the UN for that matter, and all this will be solved. Now, in this battle, I think we have been betrayed. And more than that, by the left in general, the anti-globalization movement, and Gita mentioned a number of things that Amnesty did, but also the Center for Constitutional Rights in the USA right now, supporting Awlaki in an indiscriminate way and not supporting any of its victims. And the left, anti-globalization and human rights groups second the states in promoting religious solutions or I don't find the word in English, but it's not real solution, it's imaginary solution to social problems. The left, because it still has the theory of the main enemy, which is imperialism, Western imperialism, and doesn't see the political nature, the far-right political nature of Muslim fundamentalism. And human rights organizations have promoted a hierarchy of rights in which religious rights, cultural rights, minority rights come first, and women's rights, for instance, come last. They also have promoted a hierarchy among victims, as I just mentioned in the case of CCR, defending probably the number 2 of Al-Qaeda in the Arabic Peninsula, who was threatened of being, help me, Guta, with the exact wording, killed, how do you say that in human rights terms?
He's incited murder.
No, he incited murder, but he is threatened to be killed outside the legal procedure, extrajudicial killing. Thank you. Well, English is not my language, as you know. Now, in France at the moment, Muslim fundamentalists have taken the lead in promoting religious rights. They are closely followed by the Catholic Church and by Jewish authorities, etc., but they are the spearhead of this struggle. And in what they do at the moment, which I can describe briefly, I can recognize each and every step they took in Algeria. They start with women's harassment, intimidation, and attacks, because nobody is going to defend women. The state couldn't care less. Then they go to gay people and attack them. They are doing that in France at the moment, and they started about 10 years ago. Women are killed in France for un-Islamic behavior and un-Islamic dress, as was done in the 60s in Algeria and also in the 70s. There's acid throwing at women who don't have the proper dress, etc. They force religious practice. They do everything they have done in Algeria on a minor scale, of course, but they have morality police in the suburbs where there is so much unemployment. They force the Islamic dress, which, by the way, is most untraditional. We never had this kind of veiling in Algeria before, and in France, it's very interesting because we have documentary films on how migrant women of North African origin behaved and dressed 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and it's appalling how it changes exactly the same way it had changed in our countries, etc., etc. And we start having preachers denouncing specific people, denouncing intellectuals, artists, and journalists, exactly as they did in Algeria. And we know in Algeria they were killed. And in France at the moment they are only beaten up, except that one woman artist, well, there was an attempt to set her on fire in front of the theater where she was performing. She's of Algerian origin. All I have to say is that they also work in schools, exactly as they did in Algeria, with proselytization, demanding exactly the same thing, no graphic arts, gym and biology classes, etc., etc. And you certainly heard about the famous controversy about the veil, so I don't want to go into that. I want to say that if we lose this battle here in Europe, the backlash on our countries of origin will be terrible. It will be terrible here, but it will be much worse in our countries. To end, I would like to quote a woman in black from Serbia. When after the wars, she was going to various countries of what used to be ex-Yugoslavia, it's Lepa Mladenovic. In a country that was called Yugoslavia, nationalistic regimes divided people according to their names, into their own and others. Which name you had in a certain place under a certain regime became more important than life itself. And there was also your home address. This is happening in France at the moment, and I guess it's happening elsewhere. And then she goes on. Even the multi-ethnic cities and towns were divided. The first image was from Vukovar, the divided high school with one staircase for Serbian teachers and students and another for Croats. Each ethnic group had separate cafes and separate shops. The image of separate staircase became a metaphor. All I want to say is that that's where we are heading in the name of multiculturalism, and it's scary.
Thank you.